Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Romali here with a severe weather outlook and discussion recorded on April 20th, 2023, around 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot of things to talk about today, including multiple days of upcoming severe weather. So, jumping into everything. Taking a wild look out there today, we had a video discussion earlier this morning regarding the severe weather threat today. So, for more detailed discussion, please go check that video out. But we do have an area of localized tornado threat today around not in Iowa, but Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Notice already you got some clearing ongoing out there today. The severe weather threat right now is a level 2 out of 5, slight risk from St. Louis through Chicago and Milwaukee, Peoria, Champaign. 5% tornado risk, including Peoria and Milwaukee and to the northwest of the Chicago area. 2% risk surrounding that from Chicago, Champaign, and St. Louis, with another 2% down there in Texas and adjacent vicinity. Again, the biggest reason for this upgrade to the 5% region is because we're going to have enhanced instability, especially out further towards the northwest today. Combine that with enhanced low-level shear as a response of that surface low being towards the northwest, and also the surface warm front that is now lifting northward, and that's going to enhance that low-level flow, especially further towards the north you get. And so you do have a higher threat for tornadoes as the time goes on, especially with any semi-discrete cells, but you could have a few QLCS embedded tornadoes as well. Now, moving forward, we have another severe weather risk for tomorrow. This is the day 2 convective outlook. Not as high of a threat for tomorrow. We have a marginal level 1 out of 5 for places like Houston, New Orleans, Mobile, and Jackson. And you do have a small tornado threat for tomorrow, small corridor where we could see a few brief weak tornadoes this north of Lafayette, Louisiana, through about the I-20 corridor, through about Jackson, Mississippi, and to the southeast of Shreveport, Louisiana. So not really a high tornado threat for tomorrow, but there is a threat. But the greatest risk is going to be damaging winds and the potential for a few isolated large hail events as well. But tomorrow's event looks pretty minimal, and I don't think we're going to be seeing an upgrade for that. Now, progressing forward into the day 3 outlook, we have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk. This includes places like Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, through about Raleigh, and portions of the Outer Banks. Level 1 out of 5 marginal from all the way, basically all of Central and South Florida, and all the way through portions of Virginia, including like Norfolk and Richmond. And then you have your general thunderstorm further towards the north from there. Again, generally, our overviews, we're going to have a pretty modest amount of lifting for the majority of the area, but you are going to have a trailing cold front and associated frontal boundary, an area of low pressure to the north. And so the greatest area for lifting and the best chance for thunderstorms is going to be from about Raleigh, portions of the Outer Banks, northward, as that lifting is going to increase with that surface low far to the north. But elsewise, I think most of the area is going to be under weak to modest lifting. And there is going to be some shear, but not a lot. There's going to be weak to modest shear across the majority of the area, and only moderate shear further towards the north. And that's as a response. You're getting closer to that surface low, so naturally shear will increase. But not a lot to deal with, meaning that the predominant threat is going to be damaging straight line winds, maybe a few isolated hail events as well, especially around places like Charleston, Wilmington, and up towards Raleigh, Norfolk. You could see some damaging winds, large hail there. So, but not really expecting a huge tornado threat, but it will be there, especially the further north you get. Now, focusing on the day 6 events, we have a slight risk, a 15% area on day 6. This is for next Tuesday, from places like San Antonio, Austin, and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This is again, level 2 out of 5, slight risk, 15% area. Can't go any higher than 30. So you're right now with that lowest 15% area. Moisture isn't going to be much of a problem. In fact, there's going to be a plethora of moisture, which we'll talk about here in a second. This is going to be with an area of low pressure that is going to take kind of a weird track. It's not going to be a very coherent area of low pressure, but it's going to do something kind of like this and skirt off towards the east with time. So your highest severe weather threat seems to be confined to the south out here. And I think this kind of coincides nicely with the 15% area from San Antonio, Austin, and the DFW area. I think that's going to be coinciding with our highest moisture. You can see there is going to be a dry line that's going to be moving towards the east as well. And that might help to be the focal point for some discrete elements to form. But overall, it seems like the area is going to be pretty significantly loaded with a lot of lifting, moderate lifting across the majority of the area for now. This is a pretty low confidence event right now because it's 6 days out and models are going to change. And of course, we don't have the high resolution models yet. But if we take a look here at the GFS forecast, this is off Tropical Tidbits. This is the 12Z run, valid for 2 p.m. this evening or this afternoon. You notice again our storms today and going into the next couple of days, and we notice that what we're going to be having over the next for the day 3 outlook. Surface low is going to be well to the north, but there is going to be a trailing front, something like this. And again, your highest instability value, or highest shear values rather, are going to be out here towards the north. But instability is going to be limited with northern extent. So the best kind of possible area to see some tornadoes, I think, is going to be roughly, we'll get roughly within this area out here. Probably the best chance for seeing some discrete or, some isolated tornado potential, but not really a super high threat. And again, I think the tornado threat probably 2% at maximum, I think, for day 3. But continuing on, again, after this event, you're going to have this surface low begin to develop. This is about 126 hours from now, so this is 2 p.m. next Tuesday. Surface low development out near the Four Corners with a broad upper level trough that is digging in. And you notice that there's going to be a lot of moisture here. The GFS is painting a large area of moisture out here from Texas, Oklahoma, and even into Kansas and Nebraska. Large area of moisture. And this large area of moisture is going to surge eastward. And I don't really think that there's going to be much severe weather potential out here in the coming days, but I do think that there's going to be that potential for some very heavy rainfall, and eventually a more localized severe weather threat may shape up going into Wednesday and Thursday out across this area, maybe from northern Florida into Georgia and portions of South Carolina, as a broad surface low begins to take shape and moves on out there. So we're going to have a lot of moisture over the next several days, so the potential for some very heavy rainfall and flooding, I do think, remains a pretty significant concern. In terms of southeast severe weather, not really so sold on it yet. I think that we're going to have to wait a few more days to see how the models evolve with this, but it is certainly interesting, just, at least to kind of paint the picture that there will be at least some heavy rain potential within about 6 to 8 days out across portions of the southeast U.S., maybe even some snow out there, out across some of the higher elevations in near Denver, maybe even across portions, really the Oklahoma panhandle out there. So a lot to watch over the next couple of days. Again, generally speaking, we'll have multiple rounds of potential severe weather, but we will have to watch that day 6 event just to see if there is any potential for an outbreak. But right now, I think, generally speaking, you're going to be dealing with some large hail, damaging winds. That seems to be the greatest threat for now, but we'll have to wait and see with that. All right. So that being said, I do hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Mike O'Malley, and I'll be talking to you guys again some more over the next several days.